me because you look so fine that I really want to make you mine.
What's up, everybody? It is Cam Han, the Fantasy Man, coming at you with our Week 6 recap. I don't really know how to intro this, so let's just get going. Best matchup was Broker versus Hunter. Very close matchup. Came down to Monday night, but it was a funny matchup. Hunter, made some mistakes. Didn't back up Cook. Didn't put Cook in his flex, so he could, have more options on who to start in place of him. But it was just funny. And it was a close matchup, a little bit of a rivalry, as we know, between Cameron Broker and Hunter. So that was a good matchup. Worst matchup, as always, was anyone who plays me. Doug versus me, not close, not interesting, not particularly important. Worst injury luck, I know Hunter wanted it. He had Cook and he had Singletary out. But I'm going to give it to Preston, who had Goddard, Rashad White, Etienne out, and Jacoby Myers out. Pretty much 3 starters and then a potential flex out. So give it to Preston there. Most lucky, we're going to give it to Cameron Broker. He won with 128 points, which was by far the lowest points in a win. And he, got the benefit of Hunter's shenanigans. So that's most likely. I'm going to go with most unlucky me. Harrison, the Harrison injury was pretty rough. That was pretty unlucky. And then I went against Doug the week he got not just one, but both A.J. Brown and Mixon back. A.J. Brown and Mixon have been pretty much out for the majority of the year. They both come back against me. They both put up over 20 points. It was his highest scoring week by far, and Harrison got hurt. And I had a bye for Aaron Jones. So anyway, pretty unlucky by me. Still, my team's trash, so don't get it twisted. Dumbest move, Hunter for not backing up James Cook and not putting Cook in his flex. For those of you who are new or might not know what's going on, if you have a really injury question guy, you should always put him in your flex. That way, if what happened to Hunter happens to you, you have more options. You could play a tight end. You could play a wide receiver. You could play a running back in that position. Whereas Hunter was basically, since he just had Cook in his running back position, the only people he could pick from were running backs in the Monday Night Football game. Whereas if Cook was in his flex, he would have been able to pick from some other players. Now now that I'm saying this, I'm thinking that, who knows, maybe Hunter didn't have another running back. Or, maybe he had to play Cook in that position. No. I don't know. Okay. Still, he should have stopped recording. Still, either way, he should have been able to back Cook up. So, anyway, we'll just go from there. Smartest move, Greg. My phone's being a little laggy, and I apologize. I have to do these videos on my phone. They're all a little laggy. I would love to do them on my computer, but I can't. And then this won't do normal. It won't present on my phone normally, so it's just weird. But Greg, did a few smart things. He picked up Slayton. I don't know if he picked up Chase Brown, but he played Chase Brown, which ended up good for him. And then he also picked up Demario Douglas of the Patriots, which was the best pickup of the week. So really just a number of smart moves by Greg here. He's got best free agent move. My phone's really struggling right now. Stock rising. I'm going to give it to Doug. He's got his 2 guys back. He won this week. I think he won last week, so 2 wins in a row. And then A.J. Brown and Mixon are studs. So Doug's stock is definitely rising. Stock falling, I'm just going to go with Will. He has 2 losses in a row. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. I feel like his stock's falling a little bit. So, best player, we're going to go with Greg. He had the highest score this week, and as I stated before, he had a number of moves that I liked. We're going to worst player. Low points. He had 103 points, I think, and he just keeps trotting out the same old team that is 0-6. So I just got to give it to Sam. He's putting up low points and not really doing anything about it. I'm putting up low points too, people, but I'm trying to do something about it at least. Who had that dog? We'll give it to Doug. He shut me down. You know, me and Doug got a rivalry going. He had a bad Thursday night. He had 7 points from DK. DK should have had two touchdowns that you didn't get. Gino had, a 14-point game. Things were looking bad for Doug on Thursday, but he kept his head down. He grinded, and his team looked sick, and he wasn't even toxic about the win. So you got to hand it to Doug there. Season segments, we got the rankings. This is the updated rankings. Dylan, clear number 1, I'd say. Matt 2. Really only Brokers moving up. Doug popped up a little bit, like I said, 6 to 8. Preston dropped down from 7 to 10 after just a really low-scoring week, which, again, wasn't his fault, but it's going to play a part in the numbers. And so that's really what we're working with here. Dabs, I'm having a hard time reading these because it's a weird thing, but I'll throw out my gum so I can talk properly. All right. So Will, for saying I went... Okay, so somebody's mowing right here. Hold on, people. I feel like Will hired somebody to mow right next to my car, so I can't slander his name. Okay, so I made the Brian Robinson for Ramondre Stevenson trade, and Will, I asked Will, I was like, did you like it? And he said, as you can see in the text above, I think it was pretty good, he says. You went from a split backfield to a workhorse. Okay, now, as you can see from the picture next to it, Ramondre Stevenson is not a workhorse back. He split he split the snaps with Gibson. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I have high hopes for him when he gets back, but I did not. Brian Robinson has been out-snapping Ramondre Stevenson. Brian Robinson, before this week when I made the trade, was the number 9 running back. Brian Robinson is a dog and a workhorse, so I don't want to hear anybody disparaging Brian Robinson's name. Big Brian Robinson guy. But as people know, I had to trade Brian Robinson because he limited my ceiling, because I have Daniels and I have McLaurin. So anyway, 4 dabs from Will. He says I don't do my research. He's throwing out that I went from a split backfield, Brian Robinson and Eckler, to a workhorse, Ramondre Stevenson, who's only playing 47% of the snaps. So that was just silly from someone who claims to do all the research. Will, for changing his name to I Still Love You, Raw. 2 dabs. Terrible name. It's really just a terrible name. Amon-Ra's not even on his team anymore. I just didn't like it. Will, for posting some pretty bad fantasy commandments. 4 dabs for those of you who haven't looked at the chat. We're kind of right now debating what the 10 fantasy commandments are. And Will's were pretty bad. Not terrible, but pretty bad. Will, for making up a weirdly intricate lie about Doug playing soccer for no apparent reason. As you can see in the text over here, I'll zoom in for it. I texted him asking for soccer dabs, and my gosh, this mowing guy is really annoying me. I asked Will for soccer dabs, meaning did anyone do anything dumb in soccer? And he says, honestly, no. He then goes on to say he wants to give a shout out to Doug for making one of the most amazing saves I have ever seen. And then he starts in on something else. Anyway, little did Will know, I knew that Doug didn't play this week. And then I knew that Doug had to work. I knew that what Will just said was a lie. And so I was like, Doug said he wasn't at the game Sunday. And then Will says, oh, I didn't know you knew that. I was hoping you put that in the video. Anyway, just an overall strange fib from Will. Not really sure what the goal there was. But I caught him red-handed. It makes me wonder if I can trust any dabs that he gives going forward. I talked trade for Brian Robinson a lot this week, again, because I felt I needed to because of my team situation. I couldn't have that many commanders, and everybody undervalued him. I mean, you saw Will saying that he's not a workhorse. A lot, Matt was offering me Jerome Ford for him. Brian Robinson was the 9th best running back before this week, so people are undervaluing him. 5 dabs. Doug for not knowing what I was referring to when I was talking about his sister's wedding. 2 dabs. I had texted Doug and Greg. I was like, oh, looks like you guys got a wedding to go to soon. And Doug was like, what are you talking about? What wedding? And I was like, your sister's wedding? 2 dabs. Doug for still working on Sundays. 5 dabs. He's missing soccer. He's missing football. How is Doug not put into his is Sunday like the biggest, most busy day for Apple that Doug just can't get off on Sundays? It's like, come on. And yeah, okay, so I don't want to talk trade and dabs as I discussed, but I will kind of dabble in this because I did talk a lot of trade this week. And yeah, I made that trade with Doug, and Matt texted me, oh, I would have offered you a better trade for Brian Robinson if you would have told me you were going to trade him. Meanwhile, I've been talking trade with Matt all week, and the best he offered me for Robinson was Jerome Ford. So that was dabs by Matt, just retroactively being like, oh, I would have offered you something good if you had told me. I'm like, we've been talking trade, and the only guy you want to trade is Jerome Ford. Matt not understanding 3-team trades, 5 dabs. I told Matt that, maybe I could get a 3-team trade going. Matt was like, he's like, what's a 3-team trade? I don't get it. How does that work? Like, he didn't really understand 3-teamers. I also talked a lot. I wanted, Jordan Mason from Matt because I have CMC. But whenever I talk about Jordan Mason, Matt would say, yeah, no, Jordan Mason, he's a top 5 running back going forward. Matt's not convinced that CMC is coming back. But then maybe an hour or two later, he texts me. He's like, hey, will you trade me CMC? I was like, wait, which is it? Do you not think he's coming back? And do you think Mason's going to be a top 5 running back going the rest of the way? Or do you want CMC and you think he's going to be good? Didn't make any sense. Broker for not liking, watching, or playing basketball anymore. 10 dabs. He said, we asked him about playing in fantasy basketball. He says, no, I don't really watch basketball anymore. Later on, he criticized basketball. Basketball used to be Cameron Broker's thing, and dare I say he fell off. Doesn't like basketball anymore. 10 dabs. Greg for getting cocky. 2 dabs. He has a good week, gets too cocky. It's like, chill out, Greg. Long season, just 1 week. He should know better than that. Hunter for saying he's the smartest guy in the league for starting 2 tight ends, and one of them got him 3 points. I called Hunter probably mid 1 o'clock games, and he's like, hey, he literally was saying, I'm the smartest guy in the league. Like, the move I just made was so smart. I started 2 tight ends. I started Evan Ingram. I started Freiermuth. He's like, I'm winning this week. He insinuated he was winning this week. He's like, and I'm winning because I made that smart move. Meanwhile, Freiermuth ends with 3 points, so it clearly was not that smart of a move. 7 dabs. Hunter for saying he's the smartest guy in the league and then losing because he did something dumb. 10 dabs. He might have lost anyway, but he should have backed up James Cook properly, and if possible, he should have put Cook in his flex. But as I just found out, I'll take that one back a little bit because it seems like it would have been a little difficult for him to put Cook in his flex, but I still think he could have made it happen. So anyway, Hunter for just bragging about how smart he is and then doing something not very smart and then losing. That's dabs. This came back this was from the wedding. So Caitlin threw up pretty profusely on our wedding night. And come to find out, it was due to the fact that she had hit a vape that was left in our honeymoon suite. And that vape was left and belonged to none other than Hunter Saturday himself. That's 5 dabs. Hunter left a vape, which my now wife hit after the wedding, and it made her get sick. Sam for not making any moves or looking at any trade offers. 12 dabs. And then a couple weeks ago, Preston asked me when Andrew's birthday is. 4 dabs. He's like, hey, when's Andrew's birthday? I was like, how in the world would I know when Andrew's birthday is? That's dabs for even thinking I would know that. But yeah, we're going to finish with Hunter, 29 dabs. Maybe you could argue 22 dabs if you take away the 7 for the flex thing. But still, he wins dabs nevertheless. Most annoying, I'm going to go with Matt. I did a lot of trade talking with Matt. And, you know, it's more just the nature of the beast. If you talk trade with someone long enough, you know, they start to annoy you a little bit, as I'm sure I annoyed him a little bit, but you got to power through those moments. He kept trying to trade me Jerome Ford. He confused me with the whole CMC Mason thing. It was just a wild ride, but hey, I want to keep talking trade with Matt. He's good to talk trade with, but I at some points, I think we both were like, what the heck, you know? Updated big board there. Not going to look at it. Next week's best matchup is Hunter versus Doug. A real rivalry. Hunter's reeling. He's being accused of a lot, being accused of doing some dumb things this week. Doug his stocks are rising. His team looked great. I do pick Doug to win. It's really a clash of like pure toxicity in Doug, and then also Hunter, the most cocky guy in the league, just going right at each other. They have bowling. They have soccer on Sunday if Doug is not working. It's going to be a good one. Random rankings. So there's a lot of talk, and I'm sure some people guess this, that I might do this, but a lot of talk about the 10 fantasy commandments. Will did a pretty poor job at making them. I will tell you the real 10 commandments. I also have some honorable mentions, but we'll had this one. Thou shalt not rejoice in injury of thine opponent. You should not wish, you shouldn't hope for or wish or applaud an injury on another team. I'm guilty of it. It's hard for me not to wish injuries on people. That's it's a flaw of mine. Thou shalt not enter into battle with false expectations of victory. You should not go into a week being like, oh, I got this in the bag. I'm playing Sam or I'm playing Cameron. Easy win. If you go into a week like that, you will lose. I make this mistake all the time. The other week against Dylan, he had a good number of buys. I was feeling good. I thought it was a win. He took me down. Classic. Shouldn't have done it. Thou shalt be humble when in triumph, and boast not until the crown is thine. Basically, don't be cocky. Don't brag until you've won the championship. Once you do that, you brag. You come at everybody. Or maybe if it's like a super big matchup, like to get you in playoffs, you can brag, but don't do it for like anything regular. Thou shalt partake actively in the league, engaging in trades and discourse. You got to be active in the league. You got to talk to people. You got to go to summits. You got to, make trades. You got to make waiver wire ads. You got to pick people up. That's a big one. You cannot be inactive like a Sam or a Bobby. That's bad karma. Thou shalt not any league above the sacred redraft league. Redraft's number one, and if you take any other league more serious than redraft, if you take any other league more seriously than redraft, then the gods will smite you. Thou shalt not ever seek betterment. Oh wait, thou shalt ever seek the betterment of thy team. Always try to make your team better. Don't get complacent. Thou shalt not endeavor to curse thy foes with jinxes, lest they falter not. This is just, don't try to jinx people unless you do it very well. If you really honestly mean what you're saying and it ends up reverse jinxing, then I would say that's okay. But if you're reverse jinxing just to reverse jinx, then that's bad. Thou shalt cast aside toxicity and embrace camaraderie. Don't be toxic. Thou shalt not be swayed by the whims of a single play or game. A lot of you people like, oh, big play. Oh no, Devontae Adams just got an 80-yard touchdown. Game's over. Or hey, Jaden Reed just scored, his second touchdown in the first half. James Cook, second touchdown in the first half. I'm winning this week. No, you can't get too high or too low on any single play. Or really any single game. Like if a Thursday game comes along and you have a bad Thursday game like Doug, he had a bad Thursday. If Doug would have let himself get too down and be like, oh, I'm losing this week because Metcalf had a bad week and so did Gino, then Doug, that would be against the commandments. You gotta stay even keeled. You never get too high or low on a single play, or just because like Thursday night football didn't go your way. Thou shalt find joy in the game, even amidst the sorrow of defeat. You gotta love fantasy football and love football even when you lose. Now, these honorary mentions, I bolded like the really good ones, but these are good. Visit your friends when they move to a new city. None of you have done that. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to go visit Ashton at the pizza place, you got to go do it. You got to hang out with fantasy people in real life. It can't just be about fantasy. You got to go play football with people. You got to hang out. You got to go bowling with people. You can't just sit at home playing fantasy. You got to be one with the league mates. Don't sleep through someone's wedding. That's a big one. Never consider leaving the fantasy league. Should probably be in the 10, because Sam has actively considered leaving the fantasy league. You cannot consider quitting fantasy. That's horrible karma. Respond to texts about fantasy. I'm looking at Bobby. I'm looking at Sam. You got to be active. You got to respond to texts. You got to talk to people. Never refer to fantasy football as fake football. Play fake football, the game where you play physically every once in a while. You got to go to Central. It's fun to go with the boys, play some fake football every once in a while. Go to Summits, go to Taco Mac. You got to watch the games. That's so important. If you don't watch the games, you have horrible karma. I think I can put that on Bobby, I'm sure. Preston, doesn't watch all the games. A number of people don't watch all the games. You got to watch the games. And you have to have a good name and profile picture. And I've been accused of maybe using Misty inappropriately to garner favor with the gods, but no more. You got to have a good name. Your name can't be like Lil Slippy or Sulla Was Taken. Those are terrible names. And then you can't have bad pictures like whatever Bobby has. Now let's lighten the mood up. I'm almost done here, but I wanted to shout out, Cameron Broker's in this league, and he doesn't get a lot of screen time. Mostly his fault that he doesn't get screen time, but I want to give him some screen time and really quick talk about the 220 chicken nugget challenge. This was in high school. Preston, as you see on the right, and then Cameron Broker on the left, they set out to see if they could eat 220 chicken nuggets from Wendy's. Famously, Preston ate a lot, and then Cameron Broker ate like 30 and then gave up. And so I asked Preston to rank who he thinks would be the best partner in the 220 nugget challenge. You can see on the picture on the left, you can see Doug, you can see me, you can see Hunter. This was a big event, even for people in this fantasy league. So ranked by Preston thinks he would eat the most nuggets, 105 to 130. He thinks Dylan could crank out 95 to 105, Matt 90 to 100. I think Preston personally is overvaluing everybody here. But Broker 95. He put Broker at 95 when Broker choked at like 30. But Preston explained it as he thinks Cameron Broker would have a big comeback. He thinks Broker would clutch up and he could come back and crank out 95 nuggets. I think that's crazy. But Doug 80 to 90, Ashton 75 to 85 is way too high. Ashton quit our soccer league after like 1 week he did quit our soccer league, but he quit our basketball team after like 2 weeks when we lost. I think he would get like 30 nuggets in and quit. Will 70, that's ridiculous. Me 65 to 70. And then you can see the rest of them. He's got no respect for Hunter at 50. So anyway, that is the story of the 220 Nugget Challenge. And that is Preston's rankings. And lastly, I wanted to do best people to talk trade with, because I've been talking a lot of trade with a lot of people this week. I would say I haven't talked trade with Greg much, but this year, but Greg's a good person to talk trade with. He responds to you. He's relatively normal on his evaluations of his players. He's not toxic. Dylan this year has been great. Dylan's been very responsive, not toxic, willing to make trades. I like talking trade with Dylan. I'm a great person to talk trade with. I always reply. I never make it toxic. Will, pretty good guy. He responds. He's available. He likes to make moves. Matt, although he's got some weird evaluations of some players I think everybody agrees with,
He's responsive and he wants to make moves, which is great. Preston wants to make moves. He's responsive. Cameron Broker, not as responsive, I'm assuming, and just a little bit harder to get in touch with. But I'm sure I think maybe he's a little toxic. Ashton, very hard to do. Doug, obviously, is a toxicity factor. Hunter, low-key, doesn't like to make trades, or he's scared to make trades. Also, not good at replying. Sam would never even respond. No one even knows how to get in touch with Sam. He wouldn't respond to a text. But at least that's better than Bobby, who might respond to you once, maybe, but then never again. Bobby is the black hole in this fantasy league. So that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm excited for this week playing Cameron Broker. Excited for Thanksgiving. I'm coming home, and again, I've said before, but hoping we can get a football game going. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.